Hey, Bears fans, NFL free agency has been an absolute whirlwind, and you guys have been showing up just like I have been with some videos. Help us out. Hit that subscribe button. We're closing in on 45,000 subscribers here on Chicago Bears Now. Coming up on today's show, myself and Chase Sr., we break down the remaining top free agents in NFL free agency. Maybe, just maybe, there's a name that you want the Bears to sign, but subscribe first and stay tuned for today's show. Day 5 of NFL free agency is wrapping up, and there are still a lot of big names out on the free agent market. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. Chase, let's break down some of the top names following the Deshaun Watson trade. First up here, Stephon Gilmore, who's been linked to the Raiders, been linked to some other players, 31 years old, but still a premier cornerback in the National Football League.
He's coming off a Pro Bowl season in which he got traded from the New England Patriots to the Carolina Panthers, and while only playing 8 games coming off of that surgery and following the trade, he was really, really good, Harrison, and he's still one of the top corners in the National Football League. In 2021, he was named to the Pro Bowl, so that goes to show you just how good he was. 1 tackle for loss, 2 interceptions, 2 pass breakups. I'd like to see the figures of his deal depending on where he goes. You look at a player like Charvarius Ward of the San Francisco 49ers, $14 million per year. That's like the middle tier. And then the upper tier is J.C. Jackson, $20 million per year on the first 2 years of that contract to the Los Angeles Chargers. Gilmore can still play. I think because of his age in his early 30s, a team's going to probably offer him maybe a 3-4 year deal worth anywhere between $10 and $15 million annually.
Yeah, I think Stephon Gilmore is certainly a guy that's still looking to cash out. The question is, how many years will he actually get? Next up is Jadeveon Clowney, and now before Watson got traded, Jordan Schultz reported that the Browns had offered 2 years and $24 million for Clowney, which would be pretty team-friendly, to be quite honest, because he had a nice year last year, 9 sacks, 11 TFLs, bounced back in the sack category after a couple of down years in that regard. But maybe he's willing to take that now that Cleveland's clearly chasing Super Bowls.
I think Jadeveon Clowney is an excellent player, and a lot of people become obsessed with the sack totals, and he's never been a huge sack guy. In fact, 9 sacks this past year, tied for the second highest of his NFL career. He had 9.5 back in 2017. But this guy is a disruptor, and he is a game changer. And while he hasn't had a lot of sack totals like people expected him to have, coming out of South Carolina as that next generational prospect, quarterback pressures have always been in the game for Jadeveon Clowney. 17, 21, 21, 13, 19 in the last couple of years. He's been excellent, and I still think he's going to demand a lot of interest on the open market, and I still think, even at this point of his career, he's dealt with some injuries. He's 29 years old. He could still play. He has gas left in the tank. If he goes to a team like the Niners, right, opposite of a Nick Bosa, he was opposite of Myles Garrett last year. That's where I think those sack numbers come into play.
Next up is Odell Beckham Jr., who, Chase, I think out of a lot of these guys that we're going to break down here, and, we'll go a little faster on the lesser names, he could wait a while because reports surfacing he may not be healthy until November. If that's the case, he might just hang out and see what's what. If he wants to hang out until, the season gets going and kind of see what things look like, maybe a team suffers an injury at wide receiver and needs to plug in at wide receiver 2 or something like that, he could do just that. But we saw that's exactly what happened last year. He plugged in for Robert Woods and played very well with the Rams. We'll see when he signs, but certainly still an impact player when healthy.
I like OBJ, and I thought before he got traded to the Los Angeles Rams, he still had good ability left in him. I think he was a byproduct of just a disastrous season with the Cleveland Browns, where Baker Mayfield was banged up, he was injured, he was beaten, he was battered, and because of that, on top of the fact that OBJ and Baker Mayfield never really had a great relationship in terms of on-field chemistry, he was able to just unlock and unload with the Los Angeles Rams. OBJ, at this point of his career, still has explosion. I do worry about him coming off 2 torn ACLs, but a big name and a big ticket player, and he played excellent, and I mean excellent football for the Los Angeles Rams coming down the stretch.
What's been the best signing so far? Let us know what you guys think down in the comments. I think Hassan Reddick to the Eagles is a good one. If Deshaun Watson, if there's no major legal issues moving forward. Obviously, if that works out, I know it's a trade, but you can factor that in as well. favorite signing / move so far in NFL free agency. Now, Chase, we are now on Rumble as Chat Sports partnered with Rumble just a couple of weeks ago, and we've been publishing all of our NFL content over there as well. We've been live throughout NFL free agency. Cool platform as we expand our profile here at Chat Sports. Plus, you can find some exclusive content over at rumble.com/NFL Daily. Give us a follow, and Chase, there's a lot of other content creators people can check out as well. News, sports, politics, tech, business, whatever your interests are, you can go find it at Rumble.
Basically anything you want, you can find it on Rumble. Free uncensored content as well for those of you who like freedom of speech and like sharing opinions, bold opinions like myself and Harrison Graham. Rumble.com/NFL Daily. When you're there, hit that green subscribe button.
Keep it moving here. Bobby Wagner, who you got to wonder if he's one of these guys that's going to decide quickly now that Deshaun Watson domino has dropped. He's been linked to the NFC West. I still think he's a damn good linebacker.
So do I.
Maybe he's not peak Bobby Wagner, but he's probably still 85% of that player.
Yeah, no, 170 tackles last year. And for those of you saying Bobby Wagner is washed, Bobby Wagner is spent, this guy can still play at a premier level. Now, is he the same linebacker when he has to drop back in coverage and range sideline to sideline and get up and down the field vertically, covering tight ends and some slot wide receivers? No, but you can put him in the box, you can blitz him. He can still thrive and drop back in coverage. And as a guy who maybe is losing some of his athleticism, makes up for it with an extraordinarily high football IQ. This guy's a future Hall of Famer.
Let's go to Terron Armstead now. We'll see what he decides now that Deshaun Watson has not landed in New Orleans. There was a lot of chatter if they land Watson, they'll keep Armstead. Early 30s, tackle with injury history. When healthy, top 5 left tackle in the game. Will Chicago gamble here? Will another offensive line needy team like with Cincinnati go out and get a Terron Armstead? I'll be fascinated to see where he ends up landing in NFL free agency. Let's go to Tyrann Mathieu now, Chase, who Chiefs go Justin Reed. They move on. Safety market's been hot, but I wonder, is Mathieu going to be the odd man out? Is he going to have to take a little less? Be curious to see what happens here.
Man, I love this dude's positional versatility, his overall football smarts, and his just knack for making game-changing and game-winning plays. You want to put him at safety, he can play both spots. You want to put him at corner, outside, slot, he can do that. You want him to rush the passer, he can do that as well. That's why teams are vying for Tyrann Mathieu.
Next up is La'el Collins. He's met or meeting with the Cincinnati Bengals, depending on when you're watching this. Listen, he's not an all-pro, but when he's healthy and engaged, this is a premier right tackle.
Yep.
He has experience playing guard as well. He can move around if you want him to. I would just put him at right and leave him there, but he is certainly capable of moving around. And I think Cincinnati, who I mentioned he's visited with, just makes a lot of sense here.
Makes a lot of sense because they have an offensive line need. As host of the 49ers Report, a lot of Niner fans have hit me up. Hey, La'el Collins is a replacement for Mike McGlinchey. There's no question he's the better player, but because he's a free agent target and not a trade target, I think another team is going to be willing to overpay for La'el Collins, who's one of the best tackles in the NFL, as Harrison had talked about. Now, last year struggled, hip injury. Nick Bosa lifted him off the ground in that wild card matchup on a bull pass rush, but he's very, very good. Yeah,
no doubt about it. So we'll see where La'el Collins ends up after the Cowboys released him just a couple of days ago. Who's been the biggest free agency winner so far? Dallas has been the biggest loser. They have not signed a single external free agent as of Friday, which is pretty mind-blowing. But, Tom Downey in shambles. Let us know, biggest free agency winner up to this point. We'll speed things up as we get to the back half of some guys here. Rob Gronkowski, it kind of feels like he's going to play another year with Tom Brady or just retire, right?
You would think so. They're bros, man. They're bros, and one of the ultimate bro duos of all time. Rob Gronkowski, still a free agent. Is he mulling retirement? Probably, but is he going to come back? Yeah, he could with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Jarvis Landry next up, and, we kind of wondered what he would do. Would he follow Deshaun Watson? Well, I don't think he's going to go back to the Browns. That would be quite a story. They cut him and then bring him back for cheaper. Could he get talked into that? Who knows? He had a meeting set with the Falcons. You got to wonder if he wants to sign there, though, now. I don't view Atlanta as a contender at this point, so we'll see where he lands. Probably the top slot on the market right now.
Yeah, because Juju Smith-Schuster signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. That makes Jarvis Landry the #1 slot corner. Was working out with Deebo Samuel this past week. If he learns anything from Deebo, it's positional versatility and the knack for making big plays.
Dwayne Brown, who's getting older, 34, 35, 36, in his mid-30s. I think Seattle, if they want to, regardless who they play at quarterback, maybe they get into some sweepstakes for some other guys. If they want to bring back Brown on a 1-year deal to help protect that quarterback's blind side, I could get behind that. He could also retire if he wants to, so we'll see what he decides to do, but still an above-average left tackle at this point in his career.
Very good player, and he's a little bit older, a little bit injury-prone, but 17 games played last year, 8 sacks allowed. Not a good season for him. He could play better, and I think he would be the first one to admit that. But for teams looking for offensive line help, Dwayne Brown can help you.
Kyle Van Noy got released earlier during free agency, and he, ever since he signed that contract with Miami a couple of years ago, Chase, hasn't really been the same guy that we saw in his initial stint in New England. But this is still a starting caliber linebacker, I believe. He can do a little bit of everything. He can blitz some. Not that good in coverage at this point, but I think he could be your number 2, number 3 linebacker in today's NFL.
I agree. Kyle Van Noy is just an exceptional, overall football player. Now, he secured the bag with the Miami Dolphins a couple years ago. Didn't work out. Went back to the New England Patriots. Didn't work out for tenure number 2 in Foxborough. But this guy, he's a really, really good player and a smart player.
Jameis Winston, who there's already chatter that the Saints are going to zero in on him and bring him back. So by the time you watch this, that may already be done. But, look, he's one of the big winners of Watson not choosing New Orleans.
Yeah.
Right? They'll bring him back probably. He'll start there. If something crazy changes and, let's say, New Orleans trades for a quarterback, Baker Mayfield or someone else, maybe he has to go elsewhere. But Jameis Winston, look, he wasn't lighting it up, but he was playing much more efficient football before the injury a year ago.
Yeah, Jameis Winston, a former 5,000-yard passer, a 30-touchdown thrower, but at the same time, 30-interception thrower a couple of years ago in that final season with Tampa Bay. Prior to getting injured last year, I thought that he was really making strides under Sean Payton. I'd actually like to see what he can do as he comes back off that torn ACL.
I want to see a full season of Jameis.
Me too.
Can he get back to...
He was on pace for throwing 30 touchdowns and 14 picks.
Maybe not being
solid.
a premier quarterback, but can he be that second or third tier guy?
Yeah.
I want to find out. We'll see if he gets the chance to do that. Subscribe to us here at Chat Sports. More NFL news, rumors, draft, trades. By the way, free agency is not even close to being over with, so we'll still have coverage for you. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV, 100% free. We will have you guys covered here on the channel. Zadarius Smith, Chase, who briefly agreed to a deal with the Baltimore Ravens, backed out, 4 years, 35, with incentives up to 50. We still haven't really figured out completely why he backed out. Does he want more money? Was there language in the contract, a la Randy Gregory, that he didn't like? One of the better pass rushers still out there at this point.
He is a good pass rusher, and for Green Bay, prior to only playing 1 game in 2021, he was putting up back-to-back double-digit sack seasons, and that investment that they made in him rang true, and it worked out. Spurned Baltimore, didn't go back to B-More, where he originally started his career. Still a good pass rusher if he can stay healthy.
Akeem Hicks, who has had injury issues, but when he's healthy, he's still productive. 20 games missed over the last 3 seasons. I like Akeem Hicks. I think what makes sense for him is to sign with a contender where, if he's healthy, he's giving them even more. If he's not, he's kind of just bonus. That's where I view he's at in his career. 1-year, 2-year deal with someone who's trying to make a run at a Super Bowl here in 2022.
Akeem Hicks is a load at defensive tackle, man.
So hard to
6'4",
block.
335, so hard to block in the run game as well as the ground game. He has that power to just shed offensive linemen off of him to be able to make big plays. Now, a couple of years ago, especially in 2018 and a year or two before that as well, leading into 2018, he was producing crazy sack numbers. He was better than a guy like Fletcher Cox, but at this point, a little bit older, a little bit injury prone. It all comes down to the price tag.
Who is the best NFL free agent left? We just broke down several of them here on Chat Sports, and there's other names too, but we were just breaking down some of our top guys. Let us know, top free agent left to sign.